What did ancient Egypt smell like? When Denver Art Museum asked me to create a presentation for their King Tut exhibit, this was my first question. Not great, as you can imagine. People in the ancient world lived with their animals, had no running water, and no bathrooms. So when they came across something that smelled good, they thought it was sent by God. In fact, they thought it was God. It's with the Egyptians that Western history begins and the historical use of fragrance starts with them. They created sacred scents, anointing oils and incense made of resins, spices, herbs, dried fruit, wine, and animal fats to send messages and prayers to the gods. Perfume, or perfumum, literally means through smoke. At first, these scents were only to be handled by the priests and priestesses, but eventually fragrance became so important in their culture that scent was used in everyday life by everyone, even the enslaved. In fact, the first slave revolt happened when there was a perfume shortage and they weren't given their quota. For the ancient Egyptians, having a scent was synonymous with having a soul. Essentially, if you had no scent, you weren't truly alive. We still embrace these ideas today with the notion of a signature scent as our invisible calling card. Our sense of smell affects nearly every part of our lives. With every breath, every movement, we are taking in the world, smelling it, and communicating something back. Smell is the only sense that bypasses your brain's filtering system. With vision, for example, your eyes take in way more information than you consciously see. You don't see anything that your brain finds unimportant. In this way, your brain filters vision, hearing, your sense of taste and touch. But smell is different. You are already experiencing the effects of scent before your conscious mind even realizes it. We've all had the experience of walking down the street only to encounter a smell that transports us through time and space to a long-forgotten memory. The smell of your dad's jacket when you were 6, or that first whiff of green grass on field day in elementary school. This is the power of scent. But now here's where it gets a lot more interesting. Aside from putting on deodorant in the morning or lighting a candle to enhance the smell in your house, most of these experiences happen accidentally. So what if we were more intentional with our use of scent? We could shift our mood in an instant. We could slip into a new identity, a better version of ourselves. We could trigger old memories on purpose. I've been making multisensory art for nearly 30 years, and like so many things in life, I didn't set out to work with fragrance. I didn't even know it was a job. I was in art school studying to be a painter when I started learning about herbs and aromatherapy in the hope that it would help me better handle my asthma. This led me down a winding path to a small perfumery in Boston that made all custom-made fragrances. Of course, as a student, I needed a job, so I applied with no experience and no training. I showed up on my first day to see what I could do, and it was a sink or swim moment. I swam. Through this first job, I realized a few things that would change my work and life trajectory forever. 1, I love scent. Smelling is an incredible source of pleasure. 2, perfumery is an endless art form. You can never exhaust your imagination. There are always new materials being produced to combine in novel ways to make your art and tell your stories through. 3, I'm synesthetic, which means that I smell in color, texture, line, and shape. For me, every aroma has a unique visual quality attached to it. Cold-pressed lime oil smells like a cubist painting with stripes of lime green, dark green, black, and silver coming out at you at sharp angles. Orris root smells like buttered carrots with violets and dark chocolate, but it looks like a light periwinkle gauze made of the thinnest strands of silk and cashmere floating in the sky. It's this last bit that's been the foundation of my work as an artist. I can fuse visual design elements with scent impressions to make my work. And this art form has brought me to all kinds of places, like art galleries and museums, to make installations and presentations, but some of my favorite work has been made with individuals, people telling me their life story to be translated into scent, like bottled biographies that you can uncork anytime and even share with others. People tell me of their closest relationships, of the things and people and places that they love. Together, we smell materials as we decipher their story and find the aromas to bring it to life. Some of my work is autobiographical. When I was 4 years old, I spent my first night away from my parents. It was preschool summer camp, and as a finale to the experience, we had a camping trip. We all spent the night outside in a pine grove under the open night sky. I didn't sleep at all that night because I couldn't stop listening to the trees whispering to one another above my head. I'll never forget the magic in that night, and infused in my memory is the smell of sweet pine sap, cool night air, and the ancient aroma of woods mixed with earth. Decades later in my studio, I would have to find just the right pine and fir and frankincense oils to replicate the sweet sap aroma, and mix it with warm cedar, labdanum resin, and sandalwood to give the feeling of the grove. But it's the top note of green leaf alcohol that gives the essence of cool night air. I call this perfume the voices of trees. Another favorite is called August Picnic 1976. When I was a kid, my family would get together for summer picnics at my grandfather's farmhouse, and we'd all go swimming in the pond. In my memory, there was always a rhubarb pie or fresh rhubarb to eat with sugar. This perfume, August Picnic 1976, tells the story of those humid summer days filled with tall grass, the cedar cabin, and rhubarb. But it's the sweet sugar note in the background that tells of our bond. The sweetness of playing with my cousins and feeling connected to the older generation. We know people by the way that they smell, whether they're wearing perfume or not. We know if they smoke a pipe or drink coffee or love to garden by the way that they smell. And unconsciously, we all want to be known for our scent, to be remembered. One day, a woman contacted me to ask if I was familiar with a particular iris perfume from the 1940s. Of course I was. I've been collecting perfumes since I was a kid. Among perfume lovers, this scent is both famous and rare. She said she got a sample from a perfume collector and had fallen in love with it. It made her feel even more like herself. But it was even more than that. Faced with another round of chemo, she needed this perfume to be her scented shield, a kind of lucky charm, a scented talisman to ward off danger and give her strength. I smelled the perfume on her skin and matched it in the bottle using tiny, precise amounts of materials. Together, we created the scent of hope, a direct reformulation of the original that got her through her chemo. It still brings her joy and brings beauty to those who wear it. We can all bring this power into our lives. By deciding what we want our world to smell like, we can transform it. Modern life is filled with overwhelm and anxiety, but like the ancient Egyptians, we can become the architects of our own scentscapes by consciously doing what we're already doing, breathing and smelling. We can all take a moment each day to ask ourselves, what do I want to feel like? What do I need? Pay attention to the smells that give you pleasure, make you feel peaceful or even strong and powerful, and give yourself more of them. This most ancient sense is the doorway to our deepest selves, the key to our joy, self-expression, peace, and empowerment. Use it intentionally, and you'll find that scent is deeply life-affirming. Thank you.